I have no idea what I'm in for, just vampires. We got skip retext. Wait, what? You mean skip retext all text? What do you mean? Wait, fuck it, I guess. Mr. Mackey, faster, you have to keep moving, or else, oh god, they're getting on us. Oh, and we already are fucking fat fingering. Mickey ran through the forest as quickly as her legs would carry her, which, given how exhausted she felt, was not very. She tried to obey Henry's orders, carefully both of letting her friend down, and the chatty figure to pursued them, not persuade. But her body refused to listen. Her legs felt numb and insensible, as unfeeling as marble, but far from weaker. It was nothing save sheer force of will. She was able to keep going, for all her strength has already abandoned her. When Mikey continued to run, straggling blindly throughout the fog, she feared it was already a lost cause. She was but a young woman, slender and, well, not so very short, quite unaccustomed to exercising herself. It's not like Henry, who spent her days on her hands and knees polishing the floors and blackening the fireplace. Mickey's fingers were white as ivory, while Henry's were red raw through steaming, demanding, often physical labor. What's with these descriptions? Wouldn't just show it? This isn't like an actual book. Many lungs, meanwhile, were strained from constant efforts from running. Before had she known that the act of merely existing could be so exhausting. Hey, please, you need to hurry, quickly. I reached past the fucking footsteps are getting on my nerves. I reached back to take hold of Mikey's hand, her coarse, short fingernails digging into Mikey's palm. Henry was gripping so tightly it hurt, but Mikey knew she's... Okay. We're turning this down. Could she lag behind, she would find herself in a far greater pain than this. I recalled how her father had looked back in their carriage, his eyes wide, his face unusually pale. Mikey had never seen her father look so scared before. He was a tall and imposing figure of a man, dashing even in his early 50s, who was accustomed in issuing orders, not receiving them. Mikey had thought her father immovable, but like an oak tree which shielded her family mausoleum, a tree which had stood there for longer than the crypt itself. To Mikey, her father seemed like a force of nature, one which was impossible to argue with or get the better of. The situation had been turned on its head earlier that night, however, in a mere handful of minutes. For all of his bluster, Mikey's father was only human. He had made flesh and blood just like Mikey, and when cut he bled. He had bled a lot, in fact, all over the unholstered seats of their carriage, onto the floor. His fine clothes had been stained black with the stuff. The air has stunk of it, sharp and metallic. I could smell her father's blood, or even now, and she and Henry raced through the forest. She couldn't forget it, however much she wanted to. Oh, if only the events of that night had been nothing more than a bad dream. Can we actually get to the events of the night? Mikey wished that the fog would clear and he would awake, her eyes fluttering to discover herself sitting once more in her bed, in her home. The room flooded with pale sunlight. Mikey's surrounding did not shift. The trees continued to press in about her, as though they were meant to eat her alive. The Charlotte pursuers were beginning to close in on them. Mikey knew she had no hope of outrunning them. She was flagging, her heart hammering in the base of her throat. What would happen when Mikey was not so optimistic to hope for an if they caught her? What would they do, Henry? Thought was almost more than Mikey could bear. It had been bad enough to lose her parents, but now to lose Henry too? Why, she had done nothing wrong. Unlike Mikey, Henry was no lady. He was just a maid. He was only being targeted because of her relations to Mikey and her family. Had Henry been traveling alone, she would have passed through the forest quite unscathed. It wasn't as though Henry had any valuables upon her person that were worth the efforts of pilfering. She only has this one artwork. Henry, Mikey appears to her maid between sharp gasps of air, which pierced her lungs as needly needles. Please let go. Leave me. be. I'm just slowing you down. They're all going to have the same fucking voice until we get to a good part where I'm actually playing. I don't care. I'm not leaving you behind. But there aren't any buts. I told you. I won't leave you. Now, let's keep running. Mikey wanted to run. Really, she did. But her body had already begun to move and given. Her heart might have been pumping fits to burst at the base of her throat. Her legs were weak, despite the excess blood which filled her. And her hand in Henry's felt cold and clammy. She had exhausted all her energy simply in escaping from the carriage where her parents' bodies lay. Now she would die, only a few hundred paces away from their final resting place. Would her mutilated carcass be discovered days hence and taken back to her family home? Would she and her parents be embalmed and sealed away within their mausoleum? Mikey did not much like this thought. Her family mausoleum was terrifying. It was a terrifying place full of somber stone angels inspired from not just the dying. Just it's creepy. I don't want to be buried here. It was just quiet, being situated among tall trees, but its quietude was... Oh my fucking... What the f... is in my ears? It's not all that relaxing. Its quiet was the deep, fathomless silence of death. Mikey did not want to die. She knew not how she would continue to live on, with both her parents slaughtered before her very eyes. But she did not want to succumb as they had, in a forest full of fog. She wanted to go on living, for her sake and for Henry's, though. Not necessarily for Walter's. We don't know! Fuck him, I guess! God, we're getting closer. We need to keep running. Come on, Mikey. Like the guttering flame of a candle, the last of her energy has been expended. Mikey's foot caught in a tangled tree root, which gutted from the ground like a bear trap, and she fell. Her hand which was slick with sweat, slipped free from Henry's. She reached out, searching for her loyal maid through the fog, but to little avail. Mikey! Henry's voice echoed in Mikey's ears, shrill and frantic. Mikey's heart juddered in her chest, hard as though being to stop altogether, but it did little good. Her head smacked against the ground with a dull, anticlimactic thud. Mikey's teeth bit against her tongue. Tasted copper. Her vision swarmed. Mikey, oh God, Mikey, get up, please get up. Then everything went black. What? You're finally awake. Mikey was greeted upon waking by a dull, crushing pain that gripped her skull like a vice. A blackish taste akin to pond water filled her mouth, and with one hand clasped to her head, she coughed. Mikey's body shuddered and her lungs burned. It took a minute before her coughing fit subsided, but once it did, Mikey began to glance unease around her surroundings. She hoped that her immediate surroundings might shed some light upon her predicament, but her hopes were in vain. Mikey had no idea where she was. The floor upon which she was sitting, why was she... I read that as shitting on the floor. Why was she shitting on the floor? Of all things. It was made of stone, which felt hard and cold and uncompromising. Was there some moss? Could she eat some moss? The walls, too, were made of stone, and as was the ceiling, which felt very far away. The wooden cot was pushed up against one of the walls, but it was so steeped in shadows, Mikey could scarcely make it out. I can scarcely make it out. Where the fuck is it? There was a chamber pot lying by the cot, which she did not care to examine too closely. Its rim and sides were stained with caked on filth. A truly unpleasant odor issued from the chamber pot, which made Mikey's eyes sting. It was fortunate that she had no immediate desire to relieve herself, for she had no wish to use this come on. A good examination of the room, though, really it was more like a cell, showed Mikey that, save for the cot and the chamber pot, it was utterly dissociated. There was no other furniture to be seen, no shelves, no cupboards, not even a proper bed. Say, if you see a cot, you're going to assume that there's a bed as well? There was no mirror either, so Mikey could not see herself, but perhaps this was a blessing in disguise. Mikey thought she would be at her best given she was in much pain. She was so very exhausted. It was so cold she felt goosebumps rippling across her flesh. Her teeth were chattering badly. Mikey wound her arm like a middle and shivered sadly. It was not only the chamber pot. This is about the fucking chamber pot. The very air itself was rank, heavy with the stench of unwashed bodies in general decay. She was sure this was a cell reeked of death. How had she come to such a place? What happened to her? Maggie could remember sitting along her mother and her father in the carriage. You ever read something and it's like, is there a word limit? You are repeating the same fucking things. bore, bore them through the forest, and then, there at the most pivotal of moments, her memories failed her. Mikey could recall nothing else. Had her parents been there, they would have given her instructions. They always seemed to know that Mikey ought to be doing at any given time. But they were not there, and neither was Henry. Henry was her maid, who actually was really useful and exercised. Unlike Mikey, Mikey did not exercise, and due to this, she is very cold in this cell. And also there's a chamber pot that is very stinky, which reminds me of her parents who were inside the carriage with her. Mikey was all alone. Henry has been with her. Mikey was certain before. Before what? Why could she not remember anything? Oh, Mikey, though, powerfully, if only she was made of stone, then perhaps her head, not her so much. It really did feel like her skull might explode. Not from pain, though pain still remained, but from raw, unvital fear. Mikey had often dreamed of stealing away from her parents' home to embark upon a brand new life, unfiltered by expectations. She had never wished for this. Tears began to trickle down Mikey's cheeks in crystalline droplets. They scored tracks in dirt, which caked her cheeks and dropped one by one to the floor. Her head bowed, fingers sprayed against the stone. Mikey stopped, and she stopped until... What's going on? Well, a soft voice spoke amongst the teeming shadows. Mikey could not hear the speaker. She could scarcely see at all, given the darkness of her own tears, but she recognized its familiar cadence. It belonged to Henry, her maid, who was very well exercised. Mikey's dear friend was here too, in the stone cell, which smells of death, in chamber pots. Damn it! Oh, Mikey feared for Henry. She could feel relief bubbling up inside. When do I make any choices? Or am I just straight reading this? She was not alone after all. Henry? Mikey called forth from her hands and knees, being too exhausted to stand, and stared into the shadows. Henry, is that you? Mikey? A shaft of moonlight spilled a singular barred window and high onto the wall in their cell, and finally Mikey was afforded a view of her maid. The Christian Enrique? Mikey had always called her beloved maid Henry. It seemed a more appropriate name for a cheery woman, for Henry came rain or shine, was rarely seen without a smile. Henry was not smiling now. Because of the chamber pot. The chamber pot that stuck right. Breast first, apparently. She was sitting upon a wooden cot, which Mikey had first spied her head. But her face looked woeful wearing, and it had lost so much of its usual pinkness. Her apron, often white, was now stained and soiled with dirt. Is it? Like her shirt's a little bit ripped and there's like a paint smear. And her shoes have been black and sensible, but now they were mired in filth and her socks were rucked up to her ankles. And her hands, which she held in front, were trembling like those of a woman thrice her age. She looked an awful sight, but Mikey knew she could hardly have been any better herself. Henry's hair might have been a mess, but at least she kept it short. There was not so very much of Henry's dark tenders to be worked into a state of disorder. Maxie's own hair, meanwhile, was very long and curly. Though she had worn it in chigon, she could now feel it strangely loosen about her. Oh, God. Oh, gosh. Oh gosh. Oh, okay. The back of her neck prickled, either from the cold or from a diagnosed hairpin or two. Dislodged hairpin, but goddamn. Perhaps that's why Henry stared at Mikey so. Once she had regained her own sense of equilibrium, as though she had seen a ghost. My God, Mikey. When he looked so alarmed, Mikey felt almost ashamed. Mikey was no stranger to shame. She felt it frequently. In fact, when she was with her mother, it rarely raised its ugly head in Henry's presence. This Mikey's girl, Henry had been her one stunt, that her companion. She was the only person Mikey knew who took Mikey for who she was, rather than wishing often aloud to her face that she could be more appreciative, more assembled, more impulsive, more like a lady, less like herself. Henry didn't want Mikey to be more. She only wanted Mikey to be Mikey. Did that mean then that Mikey did not look like Mikey in the moment? But who else did? She resembled, if not herself, she was the chamber pot. The fucking chamber pot! What had happened to her? Are you alright, Mikey? Oh, you look at your poor face. Great. So they are in the same cell? How did she... So the whole thing was... All she could see was a cot. A chamber pot. No other furniture. Not even a mirror. Oh my God, there's no mirror, but that's maybe a good thing. Turns out on the cot was Henry. How did you... Oh my God. Henry rose from the wooden cot, which creaked and crouched before her friend. Reaching out, still shaking, she cupped Mikey's cheeks in her fingers and said, "You're bleeding." "No shit." "I am?" "Yes. You got a nasty cut beneath your right eye, in your cheek." Henry sucked in a breath, and her expression grim. "It's all banged up. You're possibly black and blue." "Oh, I hadn't realized. I'm sorry, Henry." "What?" Henry, who produced a handkerchief from her skirt pocket. It fortunately wasn't dirty. Paused in her dabbing at Mikey's face to look at her with amusement. "Are you apologizing to me, you daft goose? You did nothing to feel sorry for. I don't know, I'm just ever making you worry, I suppose." "Well, think not of it. It's my job to worry about you. I'm your maid, remember?" "Of course I remember that much. I thought might be in a state of disarray for the present, but I never forget you. Unless you're in the cell on a cot." I'm going if the smell of a chamber is too strong, I might not know you're in the room. You're much more than my maid, Henry. You're my friend, too. My dearest friend who exercises. I could very well say the same about you. That's why it hurts seeing you in such a frightful state. Do I look very bad? Well, now... Henry scanned Mikey's face, her brown eyes not bright with mischief. "That depends on how honest you want me to be." "Oh dear. Do I look as bad as all that?" "Do I look better? Your face is all banged up. There's a windfall apple." "An apple?" Maggie shook her head in wonderment. "I hope that the apple isn't riddled with worms. I don't think you have anything to worry about, on that score at least." "Well, that is a relief. I suppose things could always be worse." "Right, you are. That's the spirit. You're still alive, so am I. And we're together. That ought to count for something, though." Henry finished wiping the worst of the collated blood and muck from Mikey's cheek, and drew back her soiled kerchief. gripped tight in her hand. Her expression newly dour. She's... Oh my god. I am afraid that your parents might have... Oh. I have been so fortunate. What? Maggie heart leapt in her chest at this somber announcement. What happened to them, Henry? Do you know what's going on? Yeah, you don't? I recall they were traveling to Asberg with my fiancé. But as for how we came here... Becky closed her eyes in hope of remembering something, but again nothing came. Her mind remained stubbornly... Half an hour in and I haven't made a single fucking decision in this game. His feet shoeless, his snowy field, all flora blanketed, untampered witness. I'm afraid I cannot remember. Not a single thing? Nothing. See. Anna grit her teeth together. For a few moments, her eyes dark. She seemed to be weighing up on her words as a baker might measure out flour and sugar before speaking. That's not such a surprise, I suppose. You hit your head pretty hard back there. It might be best that you can't remember all the gory details. I wish I could forget what happened myself, but... Henry first trailed away as awkwardly she gripped her handkerchief. Her kerchief. That kerchief had been the only clean thing in Mikey and Henry's cell, but now it too was ruined, staked with brown and red. How deep was the cut that Mikey is of saying? How much had she bled? This too remained a mystery. Mikey did not know. There seemed much all of a sudden she was ignorant of. She felt so very unworthy. She might as well have been a little girl again. And through it after she had successfully stolen the key to her family mausoleum. The mausoleum that was full of spiders. What? Mikey had not known all that stood in the chill entrance in the mausoleum. But she had about to lower herself into the Syrian word for death and decay. Though part of her had wondered Henry. Mike took Henry's hand into her own, her cracked fingernails digging into her skin. What happened to them? Tell me, I want to know. Guess I thought you might. That does make things might complicated, though. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Just promise you won't take against me. For what I'm about to tell you, I've gone through a lot tonight already, and that would be the straw to break the camel's back. Henry, please, you shouldn't know that this is a trivial concern. I'm fully aware that none of this is your fault. You only ever sought to protect me. I have no better friend than you, not in all the world. And it is precisely because I want to protect you that I don't want to go into all this. I'll upset you, Christ. It upsets me too. It's an upsetting situation all around. It's rotten, really, what people are capable of, but... Marie paused. She sucked in a breath, then in a calmer tone she said, how much do you want to know? How much this? Oh my god. I'll always remember tonight. I expect I made it quite an impression. Horrible things always do. Oh dear. Are things really that dire there? Pretty bad, yes. We appreciate. Then I no need to hear everything. You could have bridged this, please. I feel like this entire bit could have been 10 minutes. Henry bowed her head in her face half swollen by the shadows. Especially for like the opening. Like, like, I understand, like, setting, like, the mood and all that, or, like, having, like, a long, like, thoughtful thing. That's when you know the characters. I don't know who these people are. Why should I care? Beam of light, which had penetrated their drab cell, had long since been extinguished, the moon obscured beneath the rotting, rolling fog. It was so cold in their cell, Mikey could not cease her shivers. Even her teeth felt cold, like shards of ice implanted into her gums. Henry approximately served something of a comfort, but it could not rid Mikey of her temptation. She know. Once Henry relied on the past events to her life would no longer be the same. Oh my god. Everything would change. Oh my god. It was changing already. In fact, so quickly that Mikey hardly had a chance to gather her bearings. She felt lost, adrift, and hopelessly afraid. I'm sorry to tell you this, Mikey, but during our travels to Carriage, it was attacked by bandits. No shit. But no, yes, they came creeping out of the fog like, I don't know, monsters from a children's story, maybe scarier. They waylaid the carriage, then stormed it, drew out their daggers threatening your father, and he was probably well. Henry's suspension twisted, they stabbed him. What? Mikey stared. She had expected so much before Henry began her gruesome tale, but the still shook. Evidently, she had not been half so prepared to hear the worst of to imagine. Oh God, not my papa, my papa. Don't tell me he didn't. I'm sorry, but Henry sniffed. It is you probably suspecting. His wounds was a deep one, and he died. Dead? My papa dead? Dead as a doornail. I didn't hang around to see what happened, but, well, it was all over so quickly. I don't think he suffered, at least. And my mama? Of her, please tell me she was also... Henry didn't reply, but the discomfort which crossed her face left Mikey with no doubts as to her mother's fate. And one bright night, both Mikey's parents had been slaughtered. And now she was an orphan. And what of us, Henry? How did we escape? I find it hard to believe those bandits would let us go. Well, I'm sure we would have joined your parents if we sat still like good little girls. But I didn't want to do that. I took your hand while they were busy with your mother and we ran away. We fled through the woods, but the bandits took chase pretty darn quick. It was very dark and the fog was thick. I could hardly see what was happening. At one point you tripped and fell, and saw you got that nasty cut on your poor forehead, and I was dragging down with you. We lay there on the ground in the dirt while the bandits trampled out looking for us. I figured we were both a couple of goners. I started to say my prayers in the Lord Almighty, but then we survived. Yes, we were survived. Then Mikey supposed was not such a surprise. It went without saying. Really, they had survived, otherwise they would not have been sitting in this ghastly cell speaking to one another. Either the bandits had spared them, which seemed unlikely, or someone had come to their defense. We had been wandering the woods very late at night, however. Mickey had hardly credited it. Their escape must have been stuff of fantasies were made of. You know how we escaped, Henry? You know what my eyes saw, but my eyes can be trusted, or, well, that's another matter altogether. I think I might have bumped my head. It was so peculiar. At the time it seemed like a miracle. But looking back on it, that ain't the right world. It was just God and all his angels, but there was not holy about this. It was a straight proper mess, really, full of bloodbath. Blood? Yes, there was blood. Lots of it. It was hard for me to explain, but all I know is one moment we were sprawled upon the dirt. You unconscious, I half out of my mind with fright as the bandits approached. And the next, they were gone. Gone? But where and how? Did they run away? Not necessarily, not of their own free will. Fog parted, you see, and then this figure, this woman, she appeared so quick. It was like she sprung up from the earth. She wasn't very tall. Didn't think she was, at least. And she was very skinny, but the way she looked, the way she moved, there was something unnatural about her. I didn't get a very good look at what happened next, but I saw her go for those bandits. I think there were at least 4 of them, the ones who took care of them. There was so much blood and a lot of mud. It stuck to the high heavens. It did. Brought tears to my eyes, but not as bad as this chamber pot. The woman, though, the one in white, she didn't seem flustered at all. She stood there once she had finished beneath the moon. Nothing had happened, and then Mary paused her fingers to her brow and, overwhelmed, shook her head. I don't remember anything after that. I think I must have fainted. When I finally woke up, I found myself here. It was your crying that woke me up. I've never been able to rest easily while you're in tears, Mikey. Yes, I know, you've always been good and so kind. Thank you, Henry. Mikey chanced to smile, though the muscles about her mouth felt atrophied, worn away following the news of her parents' demise. I have no idea what I would do without you. It sounds like you saved me. From those bandits, I suppose I did. It wasn't much use when you took that nasty spill. There was no way I could have been able to carry you safely. Not when we all turned about in the woods. I had no idea where we were. I think I scraped my own shin too. My ankle aches. We've been goners if that woman hadn't appeared. But now I'm talking about it, it doesn't sound real. I can't think of any woman who would be able to beat 4 men in a test of strength. Even your own Mademoiselle Blanchard? Maggie smiled, wilted at this despite the severity of their situation, and she was even able to manage a laugh. A laugh at friggin' Henry's, sexism. It was a weak laugh which contained little in the way of mirth. It was sincere. Henry never failed to cheer her up. She must have had a knack for it. Becky was too old to believe in magic, but she was of Henry. She sometimes wondered, are you sure it was a woman who fended off those bandits? Or it was some sort of animal instead, and you failed to perceive it in the fog? That could be it. Like I said, my mind's a mess. I feel like I've lost a good 10 years off my life, though. Here Henry smiled grimly in the manner of all survivors after witnessing something horrid. Better than having it cut short altogether. You must be thankful for the small mercies, yes, even if our lives were saved by my parents' expense. Mikey squeezed her eyes shut. You could feel tears beating upon her lashes anew. This time she was able to subdue them. The news of her parents' death was heavily burdened bear, but Mikey, not having witnessed their final moments, found it hard to imagine. Yet she did not seem quite real. The shock of it all perhaps had blunted her sense. It would take a while for her parents' passing to truly register. When it did, however, Mikey did not doubt tears would come, thicker and faster than before. It had not always been so. Her childhood misadventures and her family's grip had left her something of a crybaby. Now then, Mikey inhaled, then glanced about. Where do you suppose we are? And how do you suppose we got here? That's a good question. I've been wondering that myself. Not the nicest of digs, is it? Not particularly, no. It's awful drab. It's damp too. I'm freezing. Poor thing, come here. Mary shifted closer to Mikey, then threw her arms around her. Holding her close, she glanced about. Both maid and mistress squinted into the shadows, as though they might unearth some secret way of escaping. A trapdoor? Perhaps, or a hidden passageway. But to Mikey's disappointment, she found the cell quite unchanged. Every bit as sparse as she recalled, the shadows did little to mask the fact, and still it stank. Goodness me, it's not much to look at, is it? Might as well be in a prison cell. You mean are you not in a prison cell? I think that might be what this is. They drew back from Mikey, her legs crossed beneath her upon the stone floor, and frowned. I reckon you're right. I wonder who brought us here. You and me both. It was nice of our mysterious benefactor or benefactress to rescue us. Though, they can't be all that kind if they're going to let us suffer in here. Watch the fucking door be unlocked. You think they could at least have put us in a nicer room? Not expecting first-class accommodations, but you deserve better than this, Mikey. This place isn't fit for rats, let alone people. It's alright. Are you being serious? And raised her eyebrows while Mikey smiled. It's better than being dead, at least. Even if those loggings are a mite uncomfortable. Only a mite? Well, quite a bit, if I'm being honest. Mikey drew her arms around her legs, her knees beneath her chin, and said, When I woke up, I was lying on the floor. On the floor? Her eyes shot up her forehead until they met her hairline. The gesture was so exaggerated, it managed to bring another smile to Mikey's lips. That's how dire their situation was. I suppose it makes sense. There's only one bed. Oh, it's too much. I can't believe they flung you about like a stack of spuds. Many unbelievable things have happened tonight. Our benefactor must have been bucking the tent. The benefactor, when I got my hands on them, I'll give them what's for. No, Henry, it wouldn't do to pick a fight with whoever brought us here. I wouldn't want to anger them. That way, we are at their mercy. Why? But it makes it sound like captives. Is that not what we are? This is a cell, after all. And we have no means of escaping. Are we being treated by prisoners? I know. It still stings. I don't care about me, but I don't want to see you treated like a convict, not when you've been through it so much. You've been through worse. At least I don't remember what happened, unlike you. You're the one who be saddled with the consequences for, Mikey. It was your parents, not mine, who were, well... My god, now we had some new information, now we're back at the fucking parents, and now we're repeating that we're in a cell. This is very frustrating. I don't expect this much point in trying to suss out who suffered more than who. As it stands, we're both in this together. I abandoned you, Mikey, so try not to worry. Keep your chin up. We'll get through this. Thank you, Henry. I believe it coming from you. You should. I don't say things I don't mean, Let's see, maybe things are as dire as they look. There could be a way to escape yet. Henry rose to her feet, though unsteady and did a circuit of the cell. The shadows made it seem larger than it was, but it obscured walls, but it did not take Henry many steps to canvas the full length. the dingy room. She pressed her fingertips to the wall, then her ear, as though the stonework might whisper their weakness to her. The wall, of course, remained mute. Mary then took the bars between her fingers and squeezed them experimentally, but they didn't refuse to yield. Oh, come on. Frustrated, Henry gave the bars a kick. The tip of her shoe collided with them, loosening the clouds of dirt from her soles, but damn it all. Bars refused to budge. They were quite sighing. Henry changed tack. She moved from the door to glance up at the window, but this was similarly barred too, high up to reach and much too small to squeeze through. It must seem like the miracle that such a small window allowed any moonlighting at all, just build into the cell. When the clouds and fog shifted, and Mikey asked, disenchanted, Henry flopped back down beside her with a rustle of her skirt. Did you uncover anything? Nah. All said that we're more trapped than I thought. I thought you might have come to that conclusion, yes. God. Henry kicked off her right shoe and began massaging her feet, which had begun to throb. This is a rum situation. I wonder what we're to do. I don't think that there is much we can do other than wait. I suppose you're right. I can't say I like the thought of that, though. We're sitting ducks here. I feel we ought to be taking some kind of action. Henry looked around the cell once more, then sighed. But I'm drawing a blank here. I can't think of anything we could do. I'm sorry for being so helpless, Mikey. I meant to look after you, but I'm not a total loss. Don't apologize, dear Henry. I feel better simply being with you. That's something at least. I wish I could be... Be of some real use, though. You are real use. Without you, I am unconsolable mess, weeping on the floor. Well, you can't be having that. It breaks my heart to see you cry. Much breaks mine to see you feel fatigued. It's my fault. Touche. Now that we're truly stuck here, I suppose we wait until the best of it, though. I have a bad feeling that this place gives me the creeps. I don't know who imprisons us here or what cause, but there's no manners to speak of. Oh my gosh. Aaron, was that a fucking scream? Mary began, but she found herself unable to finish the sentence. Sound issued forth from the darkness emanating from beyond their tightly sealed cell. It was a faint sound, but Henry still heard it hovering in a sour, musty air, and like a scream. Good God! What in the world was that? I suppose that was just the wind. Do you really think so? Yes, I imagine. Mikey answered in an affirmative, though deep down both she and Henry knew the truth. That had not been the wind. It had been too raw, too pained, and so faint, unmistakably human. I thought we were going to go to another fucking chapter. I'm like, okay. But nothing's really happening. We're just repeating the same things. With no obvious way of escape, and very little to do, Mikey and Henry had no choice but to idle their time away. They sat upon the floor together with their legs folded primly, like two little girls conducting a make-believe tea party. Henry at first balked at mistress in his tone like a plebeian. Lesbian? Mikey's dress was already so dirty it didn't matter. The women did not, however, abandon themselves to inertia. Henry knew that they had to do something to take their minds off the ghastly predicament. Fortunately, Henry was not empty-handed. She had in her pocket alongside her kerchief she had used to wipe Mikey's cheek. Word limits. A pack of cards. These cards were worn and bent, but they remained perfectly functional. For what a better way to use your time, Henry proposed that Mikey a game of Joker. Game Mikey agreed on. Played several rounds of Joker, sampling their decks and doing all of the cards. The game did not require a great degree of tactical thinking, but it helped alleviate some of Mikey's worries. It could not last alleviate the cold, but Mikey had been shivering for so long that she had almost grown accustomed to it. She had been in a dark, miserable cell for so long, she scarcely remembered how it even felt to be warm. Had her journey to Asbury continued uninterrupted, she would now be sitting up by a fire in Walter Garahan's living room, or else tucked up in one of his many guest bedrooms with a warming pan at her feet. Oh my god. I'm sorry, was that screen supposed to just be... What was it? Was it like Citizen King or something that had like a random parrot squawk? Because just in case people were falling asleep during the film? Was that We are almost a fucking hour in, oh my god. Is anything going to happen? Is anything... Okay, he's wealthy. It's a stranger. Okay, it's just arranged marriage. He's a wealthy person. The bandit's attack had brought with it some good... Okay, yeah. But now you don't have to marry him. But now you feel guilty because you think about that and your parents are dead. We're back at reminding that the parents are... Now we're back to this window shot. Now we're reminding that they are in a cell again. Oh gosh. 14 rounds of Joker, okay. I feel like I'm in this fucking cell. Oh, a new image! Hear the sound of Henry shuffling the decks down. Footsteps were quiet at first, and Mikey wondered whether she had imagined them. But as seconds elapsed, they became louder until even Henry heard them. Goodness me. Henry fumbled the cards and threw them down. Red hearts and black spades split across the stone. Hear that, Mikey? Yes, I can. Somebody must be coming. Our rescuer from the woods, don't you think? It could be a rescue, yes, but maybe. Mikey could not finish the thought. Her salvia, not saliva, felt too thick in her throat, like tar, and she shivered. She didn't want to extinguish the hope that she could see flickering now in Henry's eyes. That would be been cruel. Henry had swerved in the great iron door. Excited as a puppy, and wide-eyed, she peered through the shadows. It is a turn for the better. I was beginning to worry that they'd forgotten about us. Didn't wait to come face to face with them. I'll be sure to tell them exactly what I think about their so-called hospitality. You've seen that once before, Henry. I wish you wouldn't. I don't want to anger them. No stuff and nonsense. I'm sure it'll be fine. They wanted to harm us then. They had plenty of chance to do it already, surely. That's true, but the footsteps drew closer still, echoing about the stone walls, echoing inside Mikey's skull. Well, the footsteps could represent only two things. It would mean salvation if they were lucky, but Mikey found it difficult to believe this. Neither she nor Henry had been so very lucky that night, despite Henry's continuing winning hands of the Joker. Now we're just repeating the Joker. Fuck. Oh well. As you look at the cat dragon, the voice that cut through Mikey's musings was proud. Party one. The syllables polished to perfection like cut glass. The voice belonged quite obviously to a woman. Given her punctuation, she must have been well bred. Okay. Perhaps their rescue was a lady, then. The Vaughn such and such, like Mikey. A family whose ancestral home was vast and old, and grand enough to have its very own dungeon. As most nobility used their subterranean storage spaces for wine cellars, this family seemed to prefer taking prisoners. The thought did not fill Mikey with such confidence about her mysterious rescuer. Anxiously, she glanced up to meet the source of said voice. When she did, "Oh!" Mikey could not help but bring Gadsden surprise. That's slided! The owner of the voice, who now stood upon the outside of the cell's door, was not all what Mikey had imagined. It was shorter than Mikey had expected, shorter than Mikey's, really. Who was dwarfed by her wealthy six-necked other fiancé. Slender with it, her cheekbone high, her neck not as soon as a flower, her skin frighteningly pale like that of a corpse. Beneath her eyes, Mikey could see dark rings similar to those she often sprouted during the long nights of her bedroom window, unable to sleep. A woman, or she a girl? Her hair so fair it was almost white, almost seemed to glow in the moon's light. Her hair was not worn in a chignon, but so was loose. It tumbled upon her shoulder in waves in all disarray, the manner in which had made Mikey's mother swoon from the sheer impropriety of it all. The girl's appearance. Was she a girl? It was striking not only because of her indeterminate age, but because of her eyes, which were widely spaced and fringed with the most luscious of lashes. Her eyes was not brown to Henry's, nor blue like Mikey's. They were not green, nor hazel, nor gray, or any other color shade. Was this a book that then was turned into a visual novel? We can fucking see! Ah. Her eyes were instead bright red, much more than rather than visual. Oh god, were even redder than the blood which had seeped from Mikey's thin cheek and seemed to be full of violence. The girl was a perfect stranger to Mikey, but her eyes told more than pleasant chit-chat ever could. She was not normal. Mikey knew instinctively as she gazed upon her that she kept her distance if she could, but this only made her conversely feel even more enchanted. Did not look away from her. It was as though her character had placed her under a spell. That woman. Henry shook back her skirt, shifting against the ground. She's the one I told you about, Mikey. The one from the woods. The one who fought off those bandits. Oh, I saw it was unbelievable, but now it wasn't. It really is real. He killed all those men. Monster. Oh, a monster am I? The woman's unnatural eyes narrowed and, with a smile, said, "You cut me to the quick, you humans do. At least you were. I'm not so accustomed to it. I bring it upon myself, given the unusual manner in which I treat my guests, but you could at least try to be polite." Is she pouting? Why, if it were not for me, both of you would be lying in the woods right now, mangled beyond all recognition. We really were the one who saved us. I thought as much. There isn't a face anyone could forget in a hurry. Why, thank you. I take that as a compliment. I am striking, I know. Why did you save us, though, and how? I can't believe you brought us back here. Wherever here is, on your own. You must have had help. Oh, if only, but alas, I had not had any help for, let's see, in a century at least. A century? Henry gawked at the woman, her eyes agored. That would make you older than my grandmother. Can't be right. You don't look a day over 18. Oh, do you really think so? You're too kind. Laughing softly, the woman extracted the key from her pocket, then inserted it to the awaiting keyhole. After she turned it, and defeatedly she stepped into the stall. The hem of her dark cape dragged against the uneven stone floor. By the cell, she turned to close the door and locked it anew. There, that ought to do it. It would be horribly tempting if you tried to run from me. Tedious. I would be able to catch you, of course, but I'd rather not bother with all the fuss. With the door secured, the woman placed the key inside her pocket and turned to look at her prisoners. Her eyes met Mikey's, which were narrowed and with mistrust and poutings. She said, "Yeah, that is a pout. Now, why are you looking at me like that? You're making me feel quite unwelcome. I thought you'd be relieved to see my face after being left to languish in that catacomb of my castle for hours at an end. Maybe I was hoping for too much. In any case, you shouldn't frown like that, my dear. It's an awful waste. You'll wrinkle your pretty face." This should sound familiar to Mikey. He just heard it many times from her mother when Mikey had been trained to obey her mother. A question, however, was not so much this strange woman. Her rhetoric felt way and he lid said, "What I do with my face is my own concern. I'm sure it's none of your business." Goodness. Fresher than you look. I took for you to shrinking violet, but maybe I was mistaken. Might make for quite an amusing plaything. No. You'd be a good sight prettier if you smiled. Oh God. I can't say I blame you for being I'm waiting for something. Just something. Be like, okay. It came at quite a price, but oh well, never mind. Where are my manners? My name is Magdalena? Magdalena? But you can call me Lena. My family's name. Meanwhile, it's not particularly important. It might have commanded some respect back in the day, but it's not so now. They'd long since been obliterated. Without history will remember them. I not wish to. I am all that is left of their legacy. In fact, I would very much love to rub in their face, but alas, never got the chance. It was very nice to meet you for the second time this night. Just saying, Magdalena dropped a neat curtsy, taking head of her cape in lieu of a skirt. I am afraid I will not be afforded much of a chance to properly know you. While I would relish the chance to speak to a couple of young maidens such as yourselves, I had designed for you to be on idle chatter. And what would you mean by that exactly? Knowing that now I brought you here, I cannot continue to let you live. You've already seen too much.
What? Honestly, what? Why would you show us this?
Henry stared at Magdalena's with wide eyes, full of fear, ears swelled with it. What do you mean? I said, to try to keep up.
Honestly.
It's awfully tedious having to explain myself down to the finer details. I suppose you have the right to know, the bare minimum, prisoners though you may be. I'd hate to keep you in suspense.
I'm sorry, we've been in this for like an hour now.
At this point, it does matter how much you know, and you won't be able to tell anybody else what you might learn here. Not been venturing forth beyond the walls of my castle ever again. Eowyn smiled, her lips lifted in a wicked gain, not very unlike that of a joker in Henry's pack of cards. The Magdalena's face was white, her lips were red, much like her eyes. They stood out in her murky face, like a rose blooming spiced with her chill. Both Mikey thought with a shudder of freshly spent blood. You must understand I am not a normal woman. No human can hope to best me when it comes to conditions of sheer strength, as the bandits who were pursuing you soon discovered. It didn't take me more than a few seconds to smash them. The fight they put up was so pathetic, makes me wonder why they even bothered. If they had any respect for my time, they would have slit their own throats with the daggers and save me this trouble. Humans can be awfully thoughtless. But if they had done that, I wouldn't have been able to bring the leader of their little group back to my castle. It was in a bad way. I was obliged to introduce myself to him before bestowing upon you similar honors. I must really apologize for making you wait. Magdalene dropped in their curtsy and inadequately might, but it smacked off insecurity. How many men and women had been brought to their castle, and how many has she similarly tortured? Mikey knew at least one besides herself and Henry. The bandit leader. Did you kill him? Eventually, yes. It was quite the sight. You had to in the way he begged and pleaded and groveled at my feet. A grown man like that, who was particularly made of muscle. Oh, how fickle fortunate. It's just 1 hour. Just 1 hour? Huh. Hence, he was the predator stalking his prey through the woods, and then the next. My lady drew a hand across her neck and gestured of a slit throat. Well, what goes around comes around. He got what he deserved. His screams really were exquisite. Did you perchance happen to hear them? He was being rather loud. Oh goodness! Surprised, are you? You shouldn't be. That man was a bandit, a vulture in the men's flesh, who proffered on misery. If it weren't for me, you would have gone the same way as the poor unfortunates in that stall carriage, the driver and the horses too. Nobody was spared their ravaged man nor beast. They made quite a grisly mess. Where I was a century younger, it would have been enough to turn even my stomach. Maybe that is so, but gloat over another's death like that doesn't seem right. Twisted. If I am twisted, then it's only because of this world. Society made me this way. Magdalena began, then paused when he captured her brow, but soon it straightened out as though nothing of note had occurred. Oh, never mind that. I do not wish to spout cliches about being good and evil. I would begin to bore myself. fact of the matter is, the man got what he deserved, and as did his companion. I took great pains to ensure that. Okay, I paid the brigand back twofold for what he did to you. Did you know that he tried to be stoic in the beginning? Humans often are. Human males in particular. They've so much pride. It's funny, really, that a cur like that would care so much about appearances. He was less than a man than he was a dog, and he still had pretensions of greatness, or of grandeur. I soon stripped him of his lofty disillusion, however. Humans are alike in one regards. At least, you all scream the same after your bones have been broken. You all bleed red. That man was a brigand. I'll grant you that. You deserved hangman's noose, but it's for the court of the law to decide, not you. What you did isn't just, it's barbaric. You shouldn't be taking pleasure in other people's death. Give you the right to kill him anyway. I had every right to kill him. He was trespassing upon my land, as were you and the young lady here. Life was forfeit the moment he encroached upon my territory. Lord's Prayer may say that he ought be forgiven for those who have wronged us, but I have no patience for such teachings. They do not apply to me. The Lord had forsaken me, no longer a member of his congregation. He would have no love for me as I am now, and I have little love for him. I cannot conceive of how he may have let me suffer so, if he truly exists. Sometimes I do wonder. So you mean to add blasphemy to the list of crimes? Oh, I've done far, far worse than at my time. The morals of you good churchgoers do not apply to me. I'm not of your kind. I'm a drinker of blood who walks the night. I've been alive for over a century, though my life is very different to yours and your mistresses. Not that you can understand me, and neither do I want you to. I have no desire to understand you either. There'd be no point. We're much too different. You grew of blood, but it would make you a vampire? It was Mikey who offered forth this label. Often Henry's voice flattered. Mikey had devoured books she had read before the shadowy distance of the night, much of her mother's jargon. Lady Von Essen, though that Mikey was the well-bred lady. Yeah. But she instead busy herself with embroidery. Mikey, however, had always preferred books to busy work, really works which involved needles, and she found herself returning to the stories time and time again where she needed a break from her daily life. Mikey had read a manner of books over the years. She preferred adventure stories full of mystery and yes, even murder. Mikey knew from her reading the vampires were nocturnal creatures, often aristocratic, who shunned the sunlight, dwelled in ruined castles, and stooped upon the lifeblood of their fair maidens. Yes, Mikey thought in oddly detached manner that did make sense. She had sensed something strange about Lena when their eyes had first met. Magdalena's really must have been a vampire. It all made sense. At least it would have, had Mikey been a heroine in one of her novels. But life, Mikey reminds herself, was not akin to a story. Mikey must have consumed books like a starving man, but she had sense enough to know that the words written within the page of adventure stories were huge fiction. Vampires had to remain within the realms of make-believe. They had no business walking when the humans did. Made of cold and feeling flesh, their hearts would no longer beat. They were supposed to be constructs or figments of fantasy. But Magdalene were then real and selling, although she was Mikey. He did not take her for a liar. That is correct, I am a vampire. And this castle is my territory, in the woods that surround you. You wander into my domain, you helpless little lambs, while on the run from those awful bandits. And now if your fault, this is your fault. I have no quarrels with you. I am not blaming you for what occurred tonight there. See how fair I am? I am too nice by half. Nice for my own good cause. You have been awfully surly with me, the both of you, but I've only been polite. I would even let you go if I could. Dispatching the brigands is one thing, but I take no pleasure in harming you ladies. I fear that would be foolhardy. I can't allow anybody who has wandered into my room to leave alive. I do not want you telling tall tales. I should snap both your necks and be done with it, but Magdalena's red eyes found Mikey, held them. Her eyes, which hither had such seemed so easily faded and frowned, and seemed to be mere peasants. I can tell from your clothes, dirty though they are, that you are from a wealthy background. Your voice, your bearing, yes, even the way that you look at me, just that you are in fact a lady. Would I be correct in that assessment? Why do you ask? It would be problematic for me if I were to dispatch a woman of renown. I would not want your disappearance to catch the attention of men in high places. If they were to send out a search party in these woods, not wholly impossible that they would stumble upon my home. I would lived out of sight of the public eye night of the century. I had no desire to invite half of Usburg. Oh, my fucking mouth, it's so dry now. I drank the entire mug. Pleasant. Alina pulled a face a small child might when confronted with a plate of food they did not much care for. If you really are a lady, I might do well to exercise some caution. I suppose I can always spare your life and kill only this dowdy common girl, your maid, I take it? Eileen looked at Henry now, her lips curled with a mean smile. What do you say to that? It's not a bad trade, is it? Her life or yours? Precious few people find themselves in my abode. Are ever able to live to tell the tale? You'd be one in goodness. How many gifts have I had over the years? There must have been a good 200 or 300? Aren't you touched by my thoughtfulness? Suns descended in the decrepit cell following Magdalene's announcement. Struck in words, Mikey could only stare at her, her lips parted. Was she to say the Magdalene proposal? What was she to feel? It was really certainly his prospective escaping the cell, but Mikey could take no real pleasure in it. Not when it would come to cost Henry's life. How could she abandon her friend who has been by her side since early childhood? But not for Henry, Mikey knew she would be dead already, butchered by like a farmyard animal in her parents' carriage. Henry had rescued her once already. It seemed uncontrollable that she would leave her now. Mikey turned over to her mind, worrying her teeth and her lower lip when oh my, I thought I was going to give. Am I going to be given a choice? This is my life all hereafter. Henry reached out, taking Mikey's hands beneath her own and said, what else do you think about? Sounds like a fine suggestion to me. Don't you agree, Mikey? What? Mikey stared into Henry's round, soft face, her eyes fastened on. Surely you didn't mean that. You're not alright with that, are you, Henry? I'd be a lie if I said I was jumping up and down and enjoyed the fact of being eaten by a vampire. Henry smiled as though she tried imitating her brave face. But if it's what I've got to save your life, Mikey, I'll do it. I do love you after all. I'm not going to let you get hurt. Henry tried to sound brave, but Mikey could hear that her voice trembled the same, could feel too, and Henry's hand shook. Henry, like her, had screams the bandit's leader as echoed through the halls. Could she not allow her to die? Yes, no. Yes, no. Yeah. Oh. Yeah? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yes. I was feeling the feel left out. Hold on. Resave. I apologize. I will endure not to be rooted. It's just, you know. She did. Very labeling. Not a lady, you see. I'm can't. What? Yeah, okay. Just like it with the base one, but yeah. 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 Yeah, we're doing one of these. I didn't even get the fucking pick. We're just going. Alright, yeah, chance to renate. Good deal. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm sorry, was that just a fucking... Like, the art is fucking beautiful. But god damn, the writing's a little bit repetitive. Alright, we're just saving there.
I don't think I'm coming back to this. We'll see. If you want me to actually go through this more, let me know. Let me know in the fucking because oh my fucking god, if you like, if you want me to suffer and be amazed at lesbian vampire. Oh gosh, but this is it's going to be like the Bloodborne. If there's no interest in it, I'm not continuing it. Simple as that. I could also observer. Yeah. If there's no interest, I'm not continuing it. There we go. That's it. All right. Bye.
Okay, that's all the time I've got. I gotta get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS.